Good morning, students. Say your prayer. Thank you. நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்ல ஆசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். Okay, students. So take your social science book and take page number 296. So we will continue with the economics. So the GDP. So previous class we discussed about GDP. So product, gross domestic product, and its growth. In today's class we will discuss about the economic growth and development. So the difference between economic growth and development and the various sectors, that is primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors contribution. And also the policy of government. So in order to improve the economic policy, improve the economic standard. So we will discuss in this class. Okay, so just to recall what we discussed in our previous class. In our previous class we discussed about the definition of GDP. So GDP, so nothing but the market value of all the final goods and services produced in the country during a time period. So GDP means nothing but the market value of the final goods and services. So goods means so that are tangible items, that means you can touch and feel, but service, so it can't feel by you. So service means so nothing but so the service rendered by the persons. So the value of final goods and service produced in the country along a time period. So we discussed about what is goods and what is service. Then the national income. So national income, so the measure of the total money value of goods and services produced by an economy over a period of time. Then we discussed the various terms associated with the measuring of national income. So what are they? Gross national product, gross domestic product, net national product, net domestic product, per capita income, personal income, then disposable income. So we have discussed the definition, and also the gross domestic product, so how it was calculated, so what are the things included, then the methods of GDP calculating, so the expenditure approach, the income approach, then value-added approach. Then we have seen the importance of GDP. So GDP so helps to study the economic growth and also helps to understand the problems of inflation and deflation. Then it guides to economic planning. Then it helps to estimate the purchasing power. So some of the important factors then we have discussed. Then the limitations of GDP. So what are the limitations? So sometimes some of the goods and services not included. So they were left out. Say for example, so the services provided by the parents to their children was not included, and the quantity was included but not the quality. And also so it does not tell about the income, how it came. So how the income distributed to the people and how the income came to an individual, it does not tell about it. Then it does not tell about the kind of the people living. So it does not tell about the kind of life so lived by the people. Then so the composition of GDP, so Indian economy, so broadly classified into three sectors. So what are they? Primary sector, secondary sector, then tertiary sector. So we have discussed up to this. In today's class we will discuss about the contribution of different sectors in GDP of India, then the economic growth and development, then so the development path based on GDP and employment, so how India is developing, so what are the factors that support Indian development, and also finally the economic policy. So the growth of GDP and economic policy we will discuss in this class. So contribution of different sectors in GDP of India. So there are three sectors. So the major three sectors. So primary, secondary, tertiary. That is agriculture sector, industrial sector, then service sector. Among these three sectors, service sector is the largest sector of India. So service sector is the largest sector of India. Even though as per population, so agriculture sector contributed more. So more job to the people. So service sector contribute more to economy. So most of the people in India so practice agriculture only. More than half of the people. But even though half of them practice agriculture, so the contribution of agriculture sector to Indian economy, to the GDP is very low when compared to service sector and industrial sector. So the service sector, so it only contribute more to GDP. So service sector is the largest sector of India. So gross value added. So gross value added means So the measure of value of goods and services produced in an area, industry or sector of an economy. So gross value added, GVA, means so measure of the value of goods and services produced in an area or an industry or a sector of an economy. So GVA equal to GDP plus subsidies, that is direct taxes and sales taxes. That means GDP along with the taxes. So the gross value added of the service sector at current prices is estimated at 92.26 lakh crore in 2018-19. So service sector, the largest sector of India. So the gross value added service, that is GVA, at current price for service sector is estimated at 92.26 lakh crore in 2018-19 financial year. So service sector is the largest sector. So the contribution of service sector is very more when compared to the agriculture and industrial sector. So this slide shows you the sector-wise contribution in GDP of India. So from the year 1950, that is after independence. So in the year 1950 to 2018, so the contribution of each sector in GDP in percentage wise. So you can see from agriculture sector, initially, that is in the year 1950, it was 51%, and industry 14%, service sector 33%. But now look at the current scene. So 2017-18, it was agriculture sector 17% only. So it decreased, it declined from 51% to 17%. At the same time, industrial sector, it was increased from 14% to 29%. And the service sector, it increased from 33% to 56%, almost 53%, but now it is 56%. So the sector-wise contribution, it was changing. So initially, agriculture is the more contributor. So agriculture is the primary contributor. But now service sector is the primary contributor. So the GDP, so there was changing. So the composition of GDP was changing. So now service sector is an important sector. Okay, ma? So what was the contribution of each sector? So what was the position of India in these three sectors, that is agriculture, industrial and service sector? So India stand second in agriculture products. So India is the second largest producer of agricultural product, and India accounts for 7.39% of total global agricultural output. So in the total global agricultural output, so India accounts for 7.39%. In industrial sector, India rank 6. So in industrial sector, India's world rank is 6, and in service sector, India's world rank is 8. So in agriculture sector, India's world rank is 2nd. Then in the industrial sector, India's world rank is 6, and in service sector, India's world rank is 8. So contribution of agriculture sector in Indian economy is much higher than world's average. So contribution of agriculture sector in Indian economy is much higher when compared to world average, that is 6.4%. So the world contribution, so the contribution of world countries in economy is 6.4% only. That is agriculture sector is 6.4% only. But the contribution of industry and service sector is lower than world average. So 30% for 30% for industrial sector and 63% for service sector. So if you compare the Indian economy with the world economy, so the world economy, so agriculture sector is very low when compared to Indian agriculture sector. Indian agriculture sector so contributes 6.4%. But if you take other sectors, that is industry and service sector, so it is very low when compared to world average. So that is world average is 30%, and service sector is 63%. So if you take so industrial sector, so the contribution of Indian economy is 29%, service sector 53%. If you take world average, industrial sector is 30%, service sector is 63%. So we are dominating in agriculture field when compared to other countries. So economic growth and development. So normally, what is the difference between growth and development? So growth means, so from childhood to now, you are growing physically. But development means your knowledge get developed, your lifestyle get developed. So that is the development. So growth means just the physical appearance. So you may grow up to a particular age. But development, it is a lifetime process. So day to day, you are getting updated with knowledge. So that is development. So what is economic growth and economic development. So as per the economist Amartya Sen, so the Nobel Prize person, so he won Nobel Prize for economy. So economic growth is one aspect of economic development. So as per economist Amartya Sen, economic growth is one part of economic development. Also United Nations see it like this, that is economic development focuses not only on materialistic need. So materialistic need means so caring more about money and possessions than anything else. So materialistic means so caring more about money, that is giving importance to money. So economic development focuses not only man's materialistic need, but it focuses on overall development or rise in its living standard. So economic development so focuses not only on money, but it includes the overall development or rise in living standard. So according to United Nations, economic development is nothing but so the development focuses not only on man's basic needs, that is man's money need. So it won't care only about money. It care about the overall development or rise in living standard. So it includes the development, so the updated in their lifestyle. So that is the economic development. So economic growth, it is the quantitative measure which considers the rise in the output produced in an economy or nation in a particular period in its monetary value. So economic growth means so nothing but it is a quantitative measure. So quantitative means connected with the number or amount of something rather than which has good it is. So which has good it is. That means so connected with the amount or number. So quantity means that is quantity. So that is the number only, so measured. So which considers the rise in output produced in an economy. So the economic growth so considers the rise in output, that is the increase in output. So the increase or decrease in output produced in an economy in a particular period in its money value only. So monetary means related with money. So economic growth, so just it is a quantitative measure. Just it shows the number only. It just shows the so rise in output. It just shows the increase in output so produced in an economy in a particular period. So by using it, by measuring it with in terms of money. So it won't include any other factor. Just with the name of money, just with the value of money, it shows it considers the rise in output. So the key parameters of economic growth in any economy are its GDP and GNP, which helps in measuring the actual size of an economy. So the key parameter so for measuring the economic growth is GDP and GNP. So as per the total value of goods and service produced in the country, we can calculate the actual size of the economy. So economic growth, so nothing but the quantitative measure in which the rise in output, that is the increase in output produced in an economy in a particular period was considered through money value, so through the monetary value. So the main parameters used for understanding the economic growth is GDP and GNP. Then economic development. So economic development projects a broader picture of an economy. So economic growth includes only the development in GDP and GNP. So it is valued through money only. But economic development so projects a broader picture of an economy which takes into account an increase in production level. It includes increase in production level or output of an economy along with the improvement of living standard of the citizen. So economic development includes the increase in production level. It includes the economic growth also, but also it includes the improvement in living standard of its citizens. It focuses more on socio-economic factors rather than the just quantitative increase in production. So economic development so focuses on social economic factors. But economic growth just focuses on so the number of increase. So the quantitative increase in production. So the number of products increased, that only focused by economic growth. But economic development includes the rise in social economic factors. So economic development is a qualitative measure which measures improvement in technology, labor reforms, rising living standard, broader social changes in an economy. So economic development includes, it is a qualitative measure. If you take economic growth, it is a quantitative measure. So just the number is increased means that is the economic growth. Economic development means so the living standard. So the living style of the people must increase. So must be updated. Yeah, so the economic development is a qualitative measure which measures the improvement in technology, labor reforms, rising living standard, broader institutional changes in an economy. Yeah, so human development index, so HDI, it is an important tool to measure the real development in an economy. Yeah, so human development index, it is used to measure the real development in an economy. Yeah, so the growth and the development, so growth, so nothing but the quantitative measure. Yeah, just it calculates the output of an economy in a monetary value. Yeah, but economic development, it includes the development, it includes the growth in economy in money value, and also it tells about the, it focuses on the socio-economic factors. Yeah, it tells about the improvement of the living standard of its people. So the difference between economic growth and development. So the differences between economic growth and development. Already I told. So growth means that is the quantitative measure. Development means qualitative measure. So just the increase in number. So the increase in GDP value denotes the economic growth. But increase in the improvement in the lifestyle of the people. So improvement in living standard of people denotes the economic development. So what is the difference between the economic growth and economic development? So first definition, so economic growth, it is the positive quantitative change in the output of an economy in a particular time period. So economic growth, so nothing but the positive quantitative change. So positive quantitative, that is the number. So connected with the amount or number of something. So positive quantitative change in the output of an economy in a particular time period. But economic development, it considers the rise in the output in an economy along with the advancement of HDI index. So HDI means Human Development Index, which considers a rise in living standard, advancement in technology, and overall happiness index of a nation. Yes, economic development includes the rise in output of an economy. It also includes economic growth along with the advancement of HDI index. That means, so rise in living standard, advancement in technology, and overall happiness. Then concept. So based on concept, economic growth is a narrow. But economic development is a broader concept. So based on concept, economic growth, it is the narrow concept. So it just includes the rise in economic output. So the rise in GDP only. So that's why it was narrow concept. But economic development includes the broader concept. Then nature of approach, it is quantitative. That is, economic growth is quantitative. Economic development is qualitative. So nature of approach, economic growth is quantitative in nature, but economic development qualitative in nature. So economic growth just is quantity. So quantity only increased, but economic development quality increased. Then scope, so rise in parameters like GDP, GNP, FDI, FII, etc. So economic growth so can be measured by using the parameters like GDP, GNP, FDI, FII, etc. But the techniques used for measuring the economic development were, so the rise in life expectancy rate, then infant, improvement in literacy rate, infant mortality rate, poverty rate, etc. So there is a rise in life expectancy rate. That is, so the average life of the citizens must be increased. Then infant, so should be born healthy. Then the literacy rate should be increased. Then infant mortality rate and poverty rate, so they are considered. So it should be reduced. So the poverty rate, then infant mortality rate should be reduced in case of economic development. Then term, that is, economic growth is short term in nature. That is, it is measured for a particular period of time only. So say for example in India, so the economic period for India is from April 1 to March 31. So that is the financial. So short term in nature. But economic development, it is long term in nature. So the development process is long term. So suddenly we can't improve the living standard of the people. So through various schemes, so the government is trying to improving the living standard of the people. So consider India. So at the time of independence, so India economy is very poor only. But now, it is because of the government contribution and our people's contribution. So that's why we say economic development is a long-term process. Then applicability. So economic growth is applied to developed nations, but economic development, it is applied to developing economies, developing countries like India. Then measurement techniques. So how can you measure the economic growth? So by increasing the national income. So by knowing the national income. So measurement techniques, the increase in national income. But economic development, increase in real national income, that is per capita income. So by understanding the per capita income, we know about the economic development. Then frequency of occurrence. So at what time it occurs. So economic growth, it occurs in a certain period of time. But economic development, it is a continuous process. So the development process is continue. It won't stop at a particular time. But GDP, so it is a limit. So it reach up to its peak. Then there is no development, there is no growth. But economic development, it always grow. So it is a continuous process. Then government aid, so government help. So economic growth, it is an automatic process. So it does not require, it may not require government support or help. So it is an automatic process. Economic growth is an automatic process. But economic development, so highly dependent on government intervention, as it includes widespread policy changes. So without government intervention, it is not possible. So economic growth, it is an automatic process. So there is no need for the government support. But economic development, so it is highly dependent on government intervention because it includes widespread policy changes. So without government intervention, economic development is not possible. So this is the difference between economic growth and development. So simply we can say economic growth, it includes the positive quantitative change. Economic development, it is qualitative change. So the improvement in lifestyle, so that includes economic development. So the improvement in GDP, so the improvement in the value of goods and services, that is the economic growth. Okay, va? So developmental path based on GDP and employment. So development path based on GDP and employment. In the development path of India, it first undertook the policy of closed trade. So closed trade means so giving importance to domestic industry only. So it does not depend on foreign products or companies. It won't allow foreign product. India initially followed the policy of closed trade. So this was to give a thrust, that is energy, to domestic industries, that is the native industries, and reduce the dependence on foreign products and companies. So trade and interaction with the outside world remain limited. So India had no trade contact. That is, it does not give much importance to trade with other countries. So it gave importance to its domestic products only. So that is the closed trade. So this outlook continued till 1991, when India finally decided to open its border to free trade and liberalized its economy by allowing foreign companies to enter Indian economy. So in the year 1991, so there was an economic depression in India. So our economic condition became very low. So during the time, so without no way, Indian government allowed the foreign companies to enter into India. So India now open its trade activities for the foreign companies. So initially India followed the policy of closed trade. So that is, it gave importance to its domestic industry only. So there is too much limit for the foreign companies. But after 1991, so its economic policy went to a change. So India allowed the foreign companies, so it opened its trade activities, so it opened its trade border for foreign companies to enter. So that's why after 1990s, so we have a lot of foreign companies that enter into India. So initially, so the foreign companies, if you want to enter into India, means so they had to make a collaboration with Indian companies. So say for example, you know about the two-wheeler Hero Honda. So Hero is an Indian company. Honda is a Japan company. So there is a collaboration. But now, so Honda, it is a separate company. So now they can sell their products in India directly now. Why? It is because of the open trade policy of India. So India allow the foreign companies to enter into India. So now you can understand now. So that is the difference between Indian economy, so before 1991 and after 1991. A thrust was given to employment. Thrust means a main point of an argument or a policy or sudden strong movement that pushes something forward. So a policy that pushes something forward. A thrust was given to employment generation under the 5-year plan. So the 5-year plan, it was introduced by Jawaharlal Nehru. So in order to develop the Indian economy, so he introduced the 5-year plan. So the 5-year plan, it was idea so got from Soviet Republic. So this was to make up for a rising population and lacking job to absorb the increased workforce. Yeah, so this 5-year plan. So the main aim is to giving job to the rising population. Yeah, so in order to absorb the increased workforce. Yeah, so rural development also given importance in India. So for the important constitution, it was the Indian landscape. Yeah, so why rural development was given importance means because so in India, so most of the people are in village area only, or in rural area only. Yeah, so the Indian landscape in India land mass, so the most of the places was rural area only. Yeah, so that's why so the 5-year plan gave importance to rural employment, rural development. So poverty alleviation. So alleviation means so make less severe. So make something less severe. Yeah. So poverty should be make less severe. So it came as a corollary of rural development. So corollary means a situation, argument, or a fact that is the natural and direct result of another one. Yeah. So rural development. So poverty alleviation. It is the direct link. So it is a direct one of rural development. Yeah, so if you want to develop the rural area means so you have to reduce the severity of poverty in village area. Yeah, so it is the part of developmental path of India because most of the Indians so are poor people only. Yeah, so the poverty alleviation, it is the main theme. It is the main concept in rural development and also the part of the development path of India. So India inherited a poverty-stricken economy from the British rule, which had destroyed its resource base completely. Yeah, so British rule, so it had completely destroyed the Indian economy. So I told in our classes. So while studying 9th standard, I have told you that Indian economy was vastly affected by the British. Yeah, so the GDP of India before the British rule was nearly 20%. But now, so now it is increased to now it is 6% only. But at the time of independence, it is just 1-2% only. Yeah, so 1 to 2% only. Yeah, so Indian economy was vastly affected by the British economic policy. Yeah, so India inherited a poverty-stricken economy from the British rule, which had destroyed its resource base completely. Yeah, so India's first aim, so India's first main thing was to reduce the poverty. So it was India's economic policy. The public sector was given significant importance. So public sector means so government sector. So the public sector was given importance. Private companies and industries were subject to strict regulations and standards. When compared to private sector, public sector was given much importance. So private companies, so private sector were subject to strict regulations and standard. It was believed that the government was the sole protector of the people and would work towards social welfare. So why they gave importance to public sector means because it was believed that the government was fully responsible for the social welfare of the people. So public sector, so they gave importance to people, but private sector they gave importance to money only. So that's why so the government, so they gave importance to the public sector when compared to private sector. So the private sector, so they were subjected to strict regulations and standards. So India has sustained a rapid growth of GDP. India now it has a very well development, very well grow in GDP for most of the last 2 decades, leading to rising per capita income. So after 1990, so the GDP of India is increasing when compared to the initial year, that is before 1990s. So its per capita income is increasing and there is a reduction in absolute poverty. So per capita income have doubled in 12 years. So the per capita income have been doubled in 12 years. In per capita income, so India comes under the middle income category. So middle income category. So if you take per capita income, so it was in world wise it was divided as low income country, middle income country and higher income country. So now India was placed under middle income country category. Then life expectancy at birth 65 years and 44% of children under 5 are malnourished. So malnourished means so they lack nutrition. So nutrition hygiene is very poor. So at least 44% of children under 5 years age were malnourished. Then the literacy rate for the population aged 15 years and above is only 63%. So the life expectancy rate The life expectancy at birth is 65 years. Yeah. And the 44% of the children under 5 years age were malnourished. Then the literacy rate for the population aged above 15 years is 63%. And when you compare it with lower middle income countries, it is very low. Yeah, so for the lower middle income countries, it was 71%. Yeah, so the literacy rate for the population aged 15 years and above is 71% for the lower middle income countries. But if you take India, it is just 63% only. It is very poor when compared to other countries. Yeah, so India has followed a different path of development from many other countries, though its life expectancy rate is increased. So children's of 5 years age, so under 5 years age were malnourished. Yeah, so 44% were malnourished. Then literacy rate, yeah, so the adult literacy rate is 63%. Yeah, even though India is a middle income country category, it is 63% only. But if you take low middle income countries, it was 71%. So it is very low. So okay, so there is a different path. Yeah, so there is a different style. Yeah, so India has followed a different path of development from many other countries. So the factors supporting Indian development. So what are the factors that support Indian development? A fast growing population of working age is an important factor. So even though India's population is increasing, the working age population is also increasing. It is an important factor. There are 700 million Indians under the age of 35. So there are 700 million Indians who are under the age of 35, and the demographics look good for Indian growth in the next 20 years at least. So the demography means changing the number of birth, death, diseases, etc. in a community over a period of time. So the changing in the number of birth, death, diseases, etc. in a community over a period of time, and the scientific study of such changes. So this is called as demography. So demography means nothing but the population study. So the demographic study looks good for India in the next 20 years. Okay, India experiences a demographic transition that has increased the share of working age population from 58% to 64% over the last 2 decades. So there is an increase in population, but at the same time, so the working age population is also increased. So now the working age population that is below 35 years age is almost 64%. So it was increased from 58% to 64% over the last 2 decades. That is for the past 20 years. See, India has a strong legal system. That is its legal system. That is its law. That is its judiciary department is very strong, and we have many English language speakers. So India has many English fluently speaking persons. Then this has been a key to attracting investment from companies such as those specializing in information technology. So India, so we have very much strong legal system, and also we have a lot of English language speakers. So that's why we have more IT companies. So that it attracts the foreign companies to enter into India. Then India's economy has successfully developed in highly advanced and attractive clusters of business in the technology space. Yes, in the terms of technology, India has developed highly advanced. So for example, so the witnessed the rapid emergence of Bangalore as a hub for global software business. So Bangalore, so the capital of software industries. So suddenly, so Bangalore developed as a software hub for the global companies. Sectional economies of scale have deepened their competitive advance in many related industries. So apart from software business, so there is other industries. So they are trying to enter into India. So because we have huge population along with the working force. So there is a chance for working people, and also there is a chance for selling their products. So that's why foreign companies are trying or in competition to enter into India. So the main factor is India's working age. So it was increased from 58 to 64%. Then apart from that, we have strong legal system, and also we have many English speakers. So the English language speakers. So we have many, and also the government support. Apart from that, we are highly advanced. Then we have attractive clusters. So like Bangalore, Chennai. So the special economic zones. So there are a lot of economic zones, so which attract the foreign companies to enter into India. So Human Development Index. So it is the tool to measure the real development in an economy. So we have seen Human Development Index. So in 1990, Mehboob ul Haq a Pakistani economist at the United Nations, introduced the term Human Development Index. So Human Development Index used to measure the economic development. So it is the real term to measure the economic development. It was introduced by Pakistani economist Mehboob ul Haq in 1919 at the United Nations. So the HDA is a composite index of life expectancy at birth, adult literacy rate, then standard of living measured as a logarithmic function of GDP adjusted to purchasing power parity. So purchasing power parity. So HDA, so it includes the life expectancy at birth, then adult literacy rate, then standard of living measured as a logarithmic function of GDP, which is adjusted to purchasing power parity, that is the purchasing power of people of a country. So India climbed one spot to 130 out of 189 countries. So now India climbed to the spot of 129 in the latest human development rankings released by the United Nations Development Program. So early ones, the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, so released the Human Development Index rank. So in that, so India stand 130. So in the year 2018, so 2017, it increased to the spot of 130 out of 189 countries. So between 1990 and 2017, India's HDA value increased from 0.427 to 0.640. So India's HDA value increased from 0.427 to 0.640, an increase of nearly 50%. Suddenly, so half percentage, 50% it increased. And an indicator of the country's remarkable achievement in lifting millions of people out of poverty. So it shows that it is an indicator. That is, country have remarkably achieved in lifting the millions of people out of poverty. That is India's economy. India has a well-developed economy when compared to 1990. So suddenly in last 30 years, so the Indian economy is increasing well. So because of the foreign companies, because of our open trade policy, so Indian economy is growing well. So that shows the Human Development Index. So even though we are in the place of 129 when compared with 189 countries, so the Indian economy, so the development path is somewhat better when compared to the economic situation in 1990s. So the term gross national happiness was coined in 1972 during an interview by a British journalist for the Financial Times at Bombay Airport, when the then king of Bhutan, so Jigme Singye Wangchuk, said gross national happiness is more important than gross national product. So the gross national happiness, it was the term coined by the king of Bhutan. So in the year 1972, so Jigme Singye Wangchuk, so when he was interviewed by a British journalist, so for the newspaper Financial Times at Bombay Airport, he says that the gross national happiness is more important than the gross national product. So in 2011, the UN General Assembly passed the resolution Happiness towards a holistic approach to development, urging member nations to follow the example of Bhutan and measure happiness and well-being, and calling happiness a fundamental human goal. So UN General Assembly passed a resolution to give importance to human happiness, as like that of the Bhutan. So asked the member countries to measure happiness and well-being and calling happiness a fundamental human goal. So the four pillars of GNH, the four pillars of gross national happiness were sustainable and equitable social and economic development. So the social economic development, it includes all the people. So sustainable, it includes all. Then environmental conservation, you have to preserve, you have to conserve your environment. Then preservation and promotion of culture. So every country has its own culture. You have to preserve and promote it. So even though foreign companies came to the domestic countries, so they have to respect and preserve the native culture. Then good governance. So the four pillars of GNH are sustainable and equitable socio-economic development, environmental conservation, preservation and promotion of culture, then good governance. Then the 9 domains of GNH. So the important domains of GNH were psychological well-being, health, time use, education, cultural diversity and resilience, good governance, community vitality, ecological diversity and resilience, and living standard. So the 9 domains of GNH. So gross national happiness. So how can be calculated means it includes the psychological well-being. So people should be psychologically healthy, then they were physically healthy, then they have proper time, so they use their time properly, then they are educated, then cultural diversity and resilience, that is they have to respect the culture, so they have their own culture, then good governance, so the government should be better one, then community vitality, so every community has their own identity, then ecological diversity and resilience, that is ecologically, so we have to support, ecological should be diverse. Then living standard, so it can be calculated by seeing the living standard of the people, so these are the domains of the GNH. So GNH was the term coined by the king of Bhutan in the year 1972, so during an interview by a British journalist. So there are 4 pillars and 9 domains included in the GNH. So growth of GDP and economic policy. So many economic policies have been framed by the government of India since independence for increasing the rate of economic growth and economic development. So Indian government have introduced many economic policy, have introduced many schemes, so have introduced many policy, so in order to increase the economic growth and economic development. So the many economic policies have been framed, have been designed by the government of India, so since independence, in order to increase the rate of economic growth and economic development. So the important economic policies, so what are they? First, agriculture policy. So India is an agriculture country. So agriculture policy is very important. So agriculture policy is a set of government decision and actions relating to domestic agriculture and import of foreign agriculture product. So agriculture policy, it is the set of government decision and action related to domestic agriculture and import of foreign agriculture product. So some overarching themes include risk management and adjustment, economic stability, natural resources and environmental sustainability, research and development, and market access for domestic commodities. So some of the important themes, so which includes the agriculture policy, where it includes risk management and adjustment. So it includes the crop risk management and adjustment. Then economic stability. So the economy should be stable. So then only the agriculture products get a good and proper price. Then natural resources and environmental sustainability. Then research and development. So because of research and development, our Indian agriculture is increasing. So the output is increasing. That's why we are standing second, even though the population is increased. So the population is, we stand second. So as per population, India ranks second. Indian agriculture product also ranks second. So we are placing second. So already we have seen now. So in agriculture sector, India stands second now. Why? Because of our government policy. So some of the agriculture policies are price policy, land reform policy, green revolution, irrigation policy, food policy, agriculture labor policy, and cooperative policy. So some of the agriculture policies were price policy, land reform policy, green revolution policy, irrigation policy, food policy, agriculture labor policy, and cooperative policy. Industrial policy. So industrial policy, industrial development is very important aspect of any economy. It creates employment. So industrial policy creates employment, promotes research and development, leads to modernization, and ultimately makes the economy self-sufficient. In fact, industrial development even boost other sectors of the economy like the agriculture sector and service sector. Industrial sector, it is the basic for other sector, because it boosts the other sectors like agriculture sector and service sector, because agriculture sector, so the raw materials produced should be converted into usable products only in the industrial sector only. So industrial sector is considered the important sector when compared to other sector. So several important industrial policies have been passed. So since 1948, industrial policies are large-scale industry. Example, textile industry policy, sugar industry policy, price policy of industrial growth, small-scale industrial policy, and industrial labor policy was introduced by the government of India. In order to increase the industrial sectors, our government has introduced many policy. So have introduced the policy. The last, new economic policy. So the economy of India had undergone policy in the beginning of the 1990s. So this new model of economic reforms is commonly known as LPG. So the new economic policy. So India has undergone a policy change in 1990s. So it was introduced in the year 1991. It was called as LPG. So liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So these economic reforms had influenced the overall economic growth of the country in a significant manner. So you will learn about the LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So in detail in the next lesson. Okay, so we have discussed the agriculture policy, industrial policy, then new economic policy of Government of India. So in order to increase the economic standard, so in order to increase the GDP of India, our government has introduced several policies. So that is after 1990. There is a lot of change in economic policy of India. So initially it followed the closed trade policy, but now India following the open trade policy. So the main economic reform, so LPG introduced in the year 1991. So because of this reform, we have a significant economic growth. Okay, students. So today we have completed the first lesson in economy. Okay, so GDP, its importance, and also the development path. So Indian government scheme, so various policy for improving the Indian economy. So we have discussed it in this class. So if you have any doubt in this, please contact me. So today's textbook reading. So take page number 299. Read that heading, growth of GDP and economic policies. Then homework. So take page number 302. Fifth Roman letter, detailed answer. Fourth question, write any 5 difference between the growth and development. So here growth and development means economic growth and development. So take page number 298. So the distinction between column, differences between economic growth and economic development. You can choose any 5 headings, but it should include the first heading. So first heading, definition and meaning is very important. Remaining 4 your choice. So you can choose any 4 heading. So this is your written homework. So you have to read it and write it by own. So thank you. So if you have any doubt in this lesson, contact me. So thank you. Have a nice day.